Привет, which means hello in Russian. This is section 9.5, which is factoring trinomials. And this is going to be the easier section because there's an invisible 1 in front of the x squared. In section 9.6, they're going to have different numbers in front of the x squared, which will make this a lot harder. Okay, so section 9.5 is factoring trinomials. In the last few sections, we've multiplied binomials to get one trinomial using FOIL method, if you remember that. So now we're going to go backwards. We're going to go from a trinomial and factor down to two binomials. It's kind of like saying when we went, if you go 2 times 5, that equals to 10 when you multiply it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to factor it back down to either 1 times 10, you can go 1 times 10, or 2 times 5. But we're factoring it back down to factors. Okay, so we're going backwards. A couple things you need to remember. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is in front of the x squared, b is in front of the x, and c is your constant, or the number without a variable. There'll be two major types of trinomials, one with a positive c at the end and one with a negative c at the end. There could be a plus or a negative here in front of the b for either one, but the main thing you want to look at first is whether c is positive or whether c is negative. Okay, and then when we factor, the term I'm going to be using is factors of c that add up to b. So factors of c that add up to b. We're going to find the factors of this number and that add up to this number in front of the b. So if you look here, it'd be factors of 12 that add up to 7. Okay, so here's the first example. If c is positive, what you know is the signs inside of the parentheses are going to be the same. So if c is positive, it's the same as this here. So you look at this first. If it's positive, then both of them are going to be positive. So I can put a plus and a plus there. Okay. If it's positive here and this is a negative, when you break this down, it's going to be a negative and a negative. Okay, so if c is positive, it's the same. Both signs inside of the parentheses are the same, and it's whatever this one is in front of the b. So if this is positive, it's going to be positive, positive. If this is negative, it's going to be negative, negative. Okay, and all you do is you put your x here and your x here. Okay, and now what you want to do is find factors of 12 that add up to 7. So I can list my factors: 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And 3 and 4 add up to 7. Therefore, the 3 goes here and the 4 goes here. You can put 4 and 3, it doesn't matter. Okay, so factors of 12 that add up to 7. So over here, I can see this is a positive. So I know they're going to be same of whatever this sign is. If this is a plus, I put plus, plus. I put my x and my x here. And I want factors of 20 that add up to 9. So 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and I can see that 4 and 5 add up to 9. So I can put my 4 here and my 5 here. And by the way, that would be my answer. So that's all you're doing is breaking it down. So we broke down a trinomial into two binomials. We factored it. Okay, so here's another one. Factors of 10 that add up to 7. So again, if this is a positive, I know my signs are going to be the same as this, so negative, negative. I still put an x here and x here. I find my factors of 10. So 1 and 10, 2 and 5. I can see 2 and 5 add up to 7. Therefore, I just put a 2 here and a 5 here. Okay. So same here. I know it's going to be, because of the positive, it's going to be the same as this. Put a negative, negative. Put my x's. This one's going to be a little harder because 32 has more factors. I can go 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 4 and 8, and there is my 12. I can see that that's my 12 because 4 plus 8 equals 12. And I can just put my 4 here and my 8 here. And there are my answers. Okay, so you can see that's a little easy. Pretty easy because the pluses. When we come here to the negatives, If c is negative, this one will be a little trickier. Okay, if you have a negative, then you're going to have a plus and a minus inside of your parentheses. Okay, it means I'm going to have a plus and a negative. I could put a negative and plus, same thing. Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter. But what will matter is this here. So if my b is positive, I know the positive number is going to be bigger than the negative number when I add them up. Or if it's a negative b, the negative sign will be bigger than the positive. Okay, I know that's a little tricky, so what I need to do is do my factors of 10, and then I need it to be a difference of 3, or when I add them up, it's positive 3. Okay, so the way I think of it is difference of 3. If this is negative, it's going to be difference of 3. So I can see it's 5 and 2. And because it's plus 3 here, I need it to be plus 5 and minus 2. That way, when you look at this plus 5 minus 2, I have a positive 3. And then I just put my x's in there. Okay, that's my answer. And I'll erase this part. So same thing here. I'm going to put my plus and my minus since this is a negative. I know that it's got to add up to a positive 3. So I need factors of 28. So it's 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. I need a difference of 7, so a difference of 3, so 7 and 4. I need it to be positive 3, so I know I need to have plus 7 here and a minus 4 there. Okay. By the way, the way you can tell is it's positive and negative. When I do the L of FOIL, the plus 5 times negative 2, that's where I get my negative 10. That's why the signs have to be different. And then I put my x here and my x here. And that's how that works. Okay, I'll do it again, a couple more examples. I know it's a plus and a minus because the negative 10. But now I know the negative has to be bigger. So when I do my 1 and 10, 2 and 5, my difference is 3 there. But I know that it has to be negative 3. So I'm going to put the negative 5 here and the positive 2 here. So when I add these two up, I can see it's a negative 3. And then I just put my x's in. And there's my answer. So you can see the difference between this one and this one. This one has a positive 5. This one has a negative 5 because of the negative 3 and the positive 3. So here's another one with the plus and minus. If you want now, you can pause it now and try and solve this by yourself. So pause it, try and solve it, and then see if you come up with the same answer. But I'm going to keep going here for me. It's going to be 1 and 7. I'm sorry, 1 and 14, 2 and 7. I can see I need a difference of 5. So there's my 2 and my 7. And I want it to be negative 5. So I'm going to put the negative 7 here and a positive 5 there. That way when I add those together, oh, I'm sorry, 2. Hope you caught that. So when I add it together, 2 plus negative 7 is negative 5. Then I put my x's. And that's how that works. Okay? And the last example is having two variables. Because this is a plus, I know my signs are going to be the same as this, so it's plus, plus. Okay, sorry, I'll make this a little nicer. I want factors of 20 that add up to 12. So I'm going to go 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and I can stop. I don't even need 4 and 5 because I can see that it's 2 and 10. Okay. All I do is I take this, because this is x squared, I'm going to put an x and x here. So my f of FOIL is x squared. But now what I need to do is when I put my 2 and my 10, I need to add the y as well. Okay. That way when I do my L of FOIL, it's 20y squared. Okay. And if I wanted to double check my answer, all I do is refoil this out, and I should come back to my original answer here. If I did my f here, I would get x squared, If I did the O, I would get plus 10xy. If I did the I would get plus 2xy. And if I did the L, I would get plus 20y squared. When I did combine like terms, I get 12xy plus 20y squared, which is the same as that. So that's always a way to check if you factored it correctly. Okay, you can always refoil it back. I can see that it's good. So I'm going to go back. And I'm going to say that this is my answer. Okay? Next one. If I look at this, I can see it's a negative. Therefore, I know I'm going to have a plus and a minus in my answer. And I know that the positive is going to be bigger because it's a 7, plus 7. So when I do my factors of 18, and I go 1 and 18, and I go 2 and 9, I can see a difference of 7 there. And I want it to be plus 7. So I'm going to put a plus 9 here and a minus 2 here. Okay, that way I get the plus 7. I put my first factor here, so I'm going to put an A here and an A here. And I can see it's b squared, so I just put a b here and a b there. Okay, and if I refoil this, I get a squared, just to double check, minus 2ab plus 9ab minus 18b squared. When I combine like terms, I get a squared plus 7ab minus 18b squared, which is the same as that. Okay. And that confirms it. So my answer is this. So that's how you factor trinomials. I can erase this, my check. I hope this helps. Next section is 9.6, and that'll be adding a number in front of here, the x squared, which will make it a little harder, but I'll show you 2 different ways of doing it. Okay, do svidania.